Gary says, it's ironic that many who are so against Tesla buying back its own stock are okay with Tesla buying Bitcoin. That logic is wholly inconsistent to me. I think that makes sense, actually. The IRR on Tesla buying its own stock is about 15% versus letting cash build at 4% pre-tax ROI. In my honest opinion, buying Bitcoin is a total crapshoot, since there's no way to estimate intrinsic value, unlike Tesla, where I can analytically compute a $660 value by 2030, equal to $300 in present value today. I said this before, I'm not against buybacks. I would just prefer to let Elon make that decision when to buy back the stock. When you think about it, it's a bit like insider trading made legal? Not quite, but a little bit. Yeah, so I say let the insiders make the decision. Our interests, if you are a long-term Tesla stock investor, are very aligned with Elon's interests to make Tesla stock go up in the long term. So if he's saying no buybacks for now, I think there's a reason. Let's talk about the Giga Berlin shutdown. Based on my calculations, says Troy, the 14-day production pause at Giga Berlin from January 29th to February 11th will reduce supply by 9,000 units. Fortunately, this is not expected to impact sales, as the Model Y inventory in Europe was around 30,000 units at the beginning of Q4. Also, interestingly, Troy does not think that a Model Y upgrade is coming this year. I would tend to disagree with that. I think it is coming this year. Oh, Tesla has released FSD beta 12.1.1 with update. I'm not going to read that. That's just so long, so many numbers. But clearly there's some progress being made there, and if the rumors are correct from before, maybe we will all see FSD 12 in our cars by the end of this month. I'm not sure if that's really likely, but that was the rumor earlier. Neil, who has been a financial services professional for over 20 years now, has a few things to say about Tesla, and Alexandra Merz responded to him as well. So let's dive in. It's amazing to me how many Tesla investors continue talking down those of us who are critical about what's happening with the business because of what they are seeing happening with the share price. He says, guys, Elon's political crusades are unlikely to be a net positive for Tesla as a brand, a company, and Tesla as a security. I can't think of any credible arguments that can dispel this. And for the record, I'm in agreement with most of Elon's positions. This is such an easy task. If Elon was not wired the way he is wired, I don't think he would have started Tesla. I don't think he would have made the Roadster. I don't think he would have been successful with the Model S. I don't think he would have been successful with the Model X. I don't think Elon would have successfully made the Model 3. Most of these were excruciatingly difficult to achieve. It requires a certain kind of wiring. And when Elon sees that he can do something or say something about something, and he knows he can influence and change things for the positive, he's going to do those things. He says that the future by default is not better unless you work on making it better. He single-handedly pushed the entire world, basically, to start moving towards EVs. And this kind of wiring that Elon has will lead Tesla to future successes when Tesla works on new projects. Number 2, consistently cutting prices and in all likelihood, reducing profitability is not good for the business. It hurts in the long term. They need money to fuel their future ambitions. I am personally convinced that it's better if the prices come down to a point where, okay, yeah, this is going to be our price point. And then we really focus on advertising and things like that, because that really slows down the competition. I mean, you have seen Ford and GM sort of moving away from EVs, but if Tesla did not do massive price cuts, would they have really done the same in 2023? I'm not so sure. So I don't think it's necessarily bad, it's just a different strategy. Hertz scaling back on their fleet speaks to the issues Tesla continues to have with parts servicing and consumer education. The cheap Teslas that I saw Hertz unloading, all of these had really high mileage. And currently, when Alexandra checked, there were 661 Tesla EVs listed. Now, some people also said that Hertz is not really selling 20,000 EVs or 20,000 Teslas because currently, right now, they don't have 20,000 of them listed. But also, you have to think about, okay, if you list a vehicle, it's going to sell. So you will never have 20,000 really all at once. And if you want to get the best price for these vehicles, you don't want to sell all of them at once and just dump it all on the market. No, you generally do it over time, and that's exactly what Hertz is doing. The sales of 20,000 EVs began last month and will continue over the course of 2024, the rental giant said Thursday in a regulatory filing. So that's not a rumor, that's based on a confirmed official regulatory filing. Now, if you think about it, one of the worst times to ever buy a Tesla vehicle was when Hertz started buying some of these Teslas, because Tesla just kept cutting prices. And I think one reason also why they are selling, I think there are many, but one reason is maybe they anticipate that there will be more price cuts. So to get ahead of them, maybe we should sell some. Once the prices stabilize, then maybe we buy some more. I'm going to skip a few points from Neil because I already talked about some of these so much in the previous videos. Neil continues and says, and there are several other parts of the business that many investors are growing increasingly concerned about. I see way too many people gaslighting others and trying to convince people that everything is bullish. This honestly continues to hurt the credibility of many of the large Tesla-related accounts. This community can do better. Tesla bears really should be called horses with blinders because that's what they see. That's all they see. They don't see everything around them. They don't see very far ahead. Now, typically with horses, the reason why you put blinders on is because you don't want the horse to be distracted by all of the things happening around the horse. They freak out sometimes if you don't put the blinders on. And to be a long-term Tesla stock investor, I think you sort of need the opposite. You need blinders that sort of let you ignore the short term. So it's not that Tesla bulls are gaslighting everyone. I think many of them made a conscious decision that, okay, the short term does not really matter that much. It matters a little bit, really, but it doesn't really make or break the company. And in the long term, it's almost irrelevant. If you can hold Tesla stock for 10 years or maybe even longer, and yeah, if I put my blinders on the way Tesla bears do, and I just looked at the short term, sometimes I would freak out too. But I primarily focus on the long term. And historically speaking, the investors with the best returns ever, like Warren Buffett, they all have very high, very long investment horizons.